Welcome everyone to the Female Bodybuilding channel, and today we have something. This is our first time ever. We are introducing a figure girl to the Female Bodybuilding channel, and this is not a regular figure girl. No, this is Julia Heerenveen. How?
For the first time, you didn't spell my last name right.
Wow, was it correct?
Yeah, it was correct.
Wow, 2020 pro debut and winner in the same show, Romania Pro figure champ, Julia Heerenveen. In your pro debut, Julia.
Yeah, I'm still on cloud 9, actually. Like after 2 weeks, being in a gym, coming around in supermarkets, being congratulated by everyone. And I'm still amazed how many people were following it and live with you through the moment. And it's been amazing. It's been really amazing.
So I was in Romania. I saw the figure class. I was obviously working. So when you're working, you always have to do some things, so you don't watch every second. But I was standing there, and everyone thought going in it was a woman called Anna Banks who was going to win it, because she's placed very high, a very good athlete. But then I saw, who's this girl in the middle there with the dark hair? And you were in the middle the whole time.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that experience being in the middle after prejudging in your pro debut against Olympia girls.
Honestly, I have to start in the beginning, because when I went to Romania, I really wasn't expecting to win at all. Okay. Me and my coach were talking about placings, and he was like, okay, if you place in the top 10, it's a really good result because it's your pro debut.
Who's your coach?
DR Fatah. You met him in Romania, right?
I know.
During the interview. He's been really amazing for me, and he's been really great. And he was like, if you place top 10, it's going to be an amazing result. And I do have all the faith in you that you're going to succeed. And then I was backstage, and I saw all the women, and these women were like so big that I was like, really so in awe, and I was like, okay, that's definitely gonna place last call out for me. Okay. And in the first round, we had a presentation round, and normally, I'm a posing coach back in my own country for the NPC Benelux.
What country is that?
The Netherlands.
The Netherlands, yep.
Yeah, that's where I give all the individual posing classes and the seminars. And so the presentation round would be like my own thing, And during the presentation round, I was feeling not really comfortable and a little bit dizzy. And so I was not really in my mood. So I wasn't expecting to place first call out. During the comparisons, they placed me in the middle, and I was like so surprised. And it took about 11 minutes during comparisons. I think 10 to 11 minutes. So it was really hard for us girls. And Anna was standing next to me, and Bahar was standing next to me. And we were like, oh my God, this is so hard.
Yeah.
And after the comparisons, we had the call outs. And I was honestly like really amazed that I placed in first call out. And we had several moments where we had to switch. Later, I asked the judges what the reason for all the switches was about. And that was because they were having they weren't sure which one to place second and which one to place third.
Third, yeah.
So it was really amazing to hear that they placed me first, from the beginning on.
Oh, that's incredible in your pro debut, Julia. That's incredible.
It is, and not only the fact because it's my pro debut, but also the fact I'm not really that big. I'm a small girl.
How much do you weigh?
On
stage?
competition, I was 56, I think, 56 kilos.
Wow. And how tall are you?
I'm 157.
Wow. So you're a petite figure champ.
Yeah, I'm always the smallest. You know, always in comparisons, it goes like this, and then you got Julia, and then the rest.
Well, actually, the figure girls are pretty tall, but the champion who's been dominating the last year, Sydney Gillen, is very short too.
Honest to God, I don't know how tall she is.
She's very short. JB, what would you say? Sydney Gillen is JB is learning figure as we go by. He's a women's bodybuilder fan there, so he's learning as we go. Quick thing, not to interrupt, but for people at home, the female bodybuilding channel, I was going to start to promote more figure girls. So you're going to see a lot more from Julia. Hopefully Bahar. She's going to call me today. What's her last name?
You're asking me. Oh, I've really forgot her last name. I have to check my phone because she's got really difficult last name.
And we have. What's her name, JB?
Ira.
Say it one more time.
Ira.
Okay. She got third, and we have Teresa Ivonicic. No, what's it? Ivancic. Ivana. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got
amazing.
We got some figure content coming for you. We're gonna learn more from that next week, but now it's all about you. So tell us a little bit more, because we had an interesting discussion at the hotel. I met you at the hotel.
Right.
It was not in my hotel room. It was in the lobby. But I don't want to come off weird when I say in my hotel. But we met the crew, you and the rest of your crew, in the hotel lobby, and you told me something amazing. So can we go back a little bit? Tell us, you're a figure champ. You won the first in your debut, but you have an interesting backstory. Tell us a little bit more. How did you get into competing, and why did you start to compete? And tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, honestly, if you want to know, and if you want people to understand why I started competing, then I think it's really important to go back to the beginning of, my childhood.
Yeah.
And, and not to make it a long story, but
you can use as much time as you want.
Okay. Well, I think the beginning my journey started even when I was a child. And as a child, I grew up with my mom and my dad in the beginning. My mom and my dad were on welfare.
What ethnicity? I'm just going to stop you a couple. Sometimes I will stop you just to ask them. What ethnicity?
Sure.
What ethnicity are you? Because you look very multicultural, just like me. What's your ethnicity? Yeah.
My father was from Suriname, and my mom was half Belgian, half Spanish.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back then we were living with the four of us, with my mom and my dad and my sister. And by the time that I was 12 years old, my mom found out about the abuse and about things that my father did to me and my sister.
Abuse? What do you mean abuse? You don't have to go too personal, but what do you mean abuse? Do you like violence or emotionally abuse, or
both?
Okay, yeah.
So by that time, yeah, this is getting like really personal. And to tell you, this afternoon I was thinking about this interview, and everything started to come up, and I was thinking about my childhood. So I was remembering why it was that rough and why it was that hard on me. But my mom kicked me and my father out. And my sister got to live with my father, and I spent time with my mom. And by the time that I was 12, I did the first attempt on my life.
Okay.
to end my life because everything was, getting too hard. The bullying at school, a home situation, the abuse that I couldn't get rid of. And by that time, I started to develop an eating disorder. And I think the eating disorder also started because on a daily basis, my dad was making a habit out of it to tell me how fat I was as a child and how ugly I was as a child. And he never wanted me. So that kind of grew into an eating disorder, which we call bulimic.
Okay.
And that progressed to anorexic. By the time that I was probably around 18 years old, I weighed 39 kilos.
Wow.
There was not much left of me. So I was in the hospital and they were giving me food through a tube. And telling me that by the next time that I would get back in the hospital, that I probably wouldn't make it back home. Wow. Yeah. You'd think that by that time your eyes will open and you will stop. Not me, because it was more like an addiction and a way of getting the control back into your life. And I seriously couldn't stop. Okay. I couldn't stop having the times where I wanted to eat like everything, the cookies and chips and everything, and then throw up again.
Okay, yeah.
And I got into a relationship by the time I was 19 for about 7 years.
Were you still weighing the same, or did you gain a little bit more weight when you were 19? And
by the time I was 19, I was trying to stop throwing up, but I was still having the moments where I wanted to eat all the chocolates and cookies and chips and everything, and having the addiction of junk food. So that's where I gained more size. And my boyfriend from back then also told me, you gain too much size, you're getting fat and you need to stop eating. So that's where it started all over again.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And I was used to get beating around by my father. And so it wasn't much different in my first relationship I had with my ex-boyfriend. Kicked me in the hospital a couple times. So that wasn't really much different. And I wasn't having the confidence and self-awareness that I wasn't in a relationship with a guy that had that much respect for me. Because I was never in a relationship where a guy did have the respect for me.
Yeah, this
yeah, go on.
No, we just see this with a lot of women that have an abusive father. They often lead to boyfriends who follow the same path. Isn't this correct? Or
yeah.
Okay, so you were in a 6-year relationship. What happened? So what happened?
Yeah, by the time the last time that he raised his hand, he threw me through a glass door. And I had to lie to my mom what happened. And that was like a switch to me because my mom was everything to me. And the fact that I had to lie to my mom to protect him and to protect my own relationship was like a boundary for me that crossed.
That's when you woke up, correct?
That's when I woke up like, this is not good. This is not the way I want to spend my life. And by the time I told him that I thought it would be better to end the relationship, he was like, okay, if you're going to leave me, then I'll put a gun to your head and your life and your new boyfriend. But by that time, I was so far out that I was like, I don't even care anymore. If you do that, I just want to spend my life for me and not for you.
So the relationship ended.
Right.
He obviously probably tried with this whatever to get you back, but after he was gone, what's going on in your life then?
That's when I think everything started to fall into place, and that's when I started to realize that I wanted to spend more time for myself. And
what age were you here now? 29 or because you
30.
30.
30. I think it was 30. Yeah. Let me see. No, 29.
I know better 29. Than you. Your past history, but okay, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I gained a lot of weight by that time because of all the grief and all the sorrow. I ate a lot, and I gained so much weight that I was probably around 90 kilos.
You're not that tall, so that's a lot of weight to carry.
That's a lot of weight. I was like the example of Big Mama. Yeah. Okay. I'm not kidding. I was like, my butt was twice the size as it is now.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a big ass, but anyway, anyway, I have to stop my English now. But anyway, so you were gaining weight.
I was gaining weight, and by the end of that time, where I was 90 kilos, I was like, okay, this is getting way too serious. I need to stop this. And I got to the gym, and I knew nothing about weightlifting, never heard of bodybuilding, anything.
You never seen anybody? You didn't even see no Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler growing up?
Never, ever, ever.
Oh, no. Well.
So I started with doing cardio about 2-3 hours a day.
Wow.
And and following a crash diet. So not really a good example. So it took me 6 months to lose 40 kilos.
Wow, 40 kilos.
40 kilos. Yeah, so
40 kilos in 6-7 months is pretty incredible, huh?
That's a lot, yeah. Yeah, but with a crash diet and 3 hours of cardio, you can manage.
Yeah. So you were down then to around 50 kilos then, correct?
50, right.
Yeah.
And by that time, the owner of the gym came up to me and he was like, yeah, I think you really have ethnicity and the background and the character for a bodybuilding show. And
may I ask
what show?
One question. When you lost all that pounds, a lot of people when they lose all that weight, did you have like stretch marks or bad skin, or was it just beautiful? Like because that's not everyone can lose all that weight. They have to do liposuctions, and you know what I mean. How was your body after you lost all that? How was your waist? Was it nice? And
I was really lucky because now when I see all the girls with the stretch marks and all the loose skin, and I'm really lucky that because I lost 40 kilos in 6 months. I was really lucky that I didn't have stretch marks, loose skin. I don't know why, because I follow a crash diet. I didn't know nothing about macros and protein.
It's our black genetics that are working.
I think it is.
Yes. Anyway, your coach. Back to your you found a person in the gym who said you should try bodybuilding.
Yeah, and at that point I was like, not even knowing what he was talking about, what show a bodybuilding show is. So I got on the internet and YouTube and looked through pictures from the girls that were in the bikini and the figure division. I was like, I think I like this.
Bikini or what did you when you looked at bikini, you thought that's something I want to do, or did you look at figure and said that's something I want to do?
Honestly, I was looking at figure.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Even though I had zero muscle at all.
Yeah,
but
you were just
figure
skinny.
division really drew my attention because you still have the roundness and the small waistline and the femininity, and I really like that, and that drew me a lot. So at that time I started with weight training, and by the time I started weight training, I knew from that moment on, like from the first time I started lifting weights, this is exactly not just what my body needs, but also what I need mentally.
And you were 31?
By that time, I was 31, 32, something like that.
Okay. So you, just for people at home, you started lifting weights 32?
Yeah.
And now you're a pro card and your first winner at 35? Is it 35?
Yeah, 35, so and I'm now 37.
JB, she picked up a weight and then 3 years later she won her pro debut, and she's going to the Olympia in 3 years.
Amazing.
That's crazy, because usually people that started with their coach, they usually did some type of sports or some type of gym, especially in the girls, they do a lot of gymnastics and things like that, huh? But you just picked up a weight and now you're a pro. Wow. Well, tell us about the journey.
Let me get to that point, because in the past, when I was like a teenager, probably around 13, 14, 15 years old, I was a gymnast.
Okay.
So I was familiar in sports.
Okay.
And athletic for a couple years.
Okay. So when you started to train then with weights 30, when did you do your first amateur show?
I did like a gym show when I was 34 or something. 33 or 34. That was like a national competition here in Holland. You have these gym shows from another federation. It wasn't the IFBB or the MPC, but I started with a different federation.
How did it go?
It went well because I won.
There you go. So you won your first amateur thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
As a matter of fact, about 5 minutes ago, or 5 minutes before we started this interview, I was looking back at some pictures, and I saw the picture, which I will send to you probably in a couple of days so you can show it to everyone, from the first amateur show that we were talking about. And I was like, oh, wow, is this really me?
Yeah.
And how could I ever win this show? It's a really big difference if I see my physique nowadays and I see my physique like the first gym competition that I did back then.
So let's fast forward to, where did you win your pro card?
In Italy.
In Italy. What year? What show?
December 2018, I got my pro card. That was like the first competition I did for the IFBB.
So you won your pro card in your first MPC show, and you won the Olympia qualification and the win in your first pro show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, fun. Yeah, this is very exciting news. But anyway, this is very good. Okay. So you won your pro card, but you took 2 years off before you competed now. Why is that?
Yeah. Honestly, I wanted to take 1 to 1.5 years off because my coach was like, okay, I can get you back on stage in 6 months, but I want you to take the time to get back on your training, get back on your diet, give yourself and your body the time to recover, and don't rush into your next competition. So I listened, and we planned to do a competition in March, April, something. But by that time, COVID came up and I couldn't do the competition. So that's when I wanted to do the competition, the European competition in Spain. but I couldn't go to Spain because my job wouldn't let me. I work as a lawyer in the Netherlands, and it was just too busy, so I couldn't take the time off. So I was like, okay, then I want to fulfill my dream. And even though I know it's one of the hardest competitions to get your qualification for the Olympia, I want to go to Romania because probably a year before that, I also told my coach, I really want to go to Romania. It's like the most amazing show I've ever seen. And so I fulfilled my dream and I went to Romania and I even won.
So this is also one thing that I think is extreme. So you went with first it was abuse, obviously, as a young woman, a child, we can say, not a young woman, from a child.
Yeah.
Then you did eating disorders, and then you have a bad relationship again when you found love at a young age for a long time there. But what's incredible, not only is pro wins, that you actually managed to be a lawyer. Amazing. Yeah, but this is an amazing profession to be an IFBB pro, who gone through what you've gone through, and also to be a lawyer. Can you tell us a little bit, when did you study to be a lawyer, and how did you find the power to manage that schooling with all the thing you went through? Because a lot of women, they can't, a lot of people in life can't get that profession. That's a hard profession to get when you're going so many obstacles. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I went to law school here in the Netherlands, and I knew from since I was like 14 years old that I either wanted to be a lawyer or I wanted to be a psychologist. And I chose for the profession to be a lawyer. So I started down the ladder, worked my way up to law school. And it took me about, if you take like the range of motion from the start to end, it took me about 10 years. And by the time I was 32, I finished my law school, and that's when I started to work for the government, and still do.
So even with all this abuse and anorectic and throwing up and eating too much and not eating at all, and you still managed to stick to it, and now you're a professional lawyer, eh?
Yeah, well, in the time that I was with my ex and living with my ex, I didn't have a place for myself where I could study, so I studied in the living room. And I worked full time because he didn't want to work, so I had to take care of the money. So one way I was working full time, doing full time study, and still had to study and take care of him. So yeah, that was a rough period, but it also made me stronger. It made me stronger as a woman to know what I want and what I will not accept, like, once again, from a man.
JB, do you see why I want to use the word love? That's a little bit, but you see why I want. You see why I wanted to have this woman on, JB.
Yep.
This is a lot of the Americans.
But I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because back when we were in Romania, I told you that this sport like really saved my life, and it did. But back in the beginning, when I was really insecure, I didn't have my current coach. I wanted to push everything to the end. And that almost got me till the end. Because I did a competition, and like the whole Netherlands knew about it. And I took too much diuretics, and by that time I didn't know that my thyroid was not functioning at all.
Of course.
So during the competition, which I know nothing about, I crashed, and people got me to the hospital, and I almost died.
When was this?
About 3 years ago now.
Okay, wow. So you almost died.
Yeah, because I got in the hospital, and in the beginning I thought that I was just dehydrated. But by the next morning, I wanted to go home, and one of my best friends wanted to come and pick me up. And when she was in the hospital, first I was just talking like I'm talking to you. And after a couple of minutes, I was repeating the same sentence like 10 times after each other. And by that time, they knew that something was wrong. So the doctors rushed in and they got me to the emergency room. And that's where I stopped breathing.
Wow.
And got epileptic seizures every 2 minutes. So they got me into an induced coma for about a week.
Wow.
And,
a week?
A week, yeah.
Wow.
So by that time, the doctors told my family and my friends, we don't know if she ever will come out of the coma, and if she comes out, in what state is she's going to be in.
Wow. So what happened? How did you just woke up after a week, or?
Yeah, they got me out of the coma after about a week. To be really honest with you, I still couldn't speak and couldn't think, because I know nothing about the period from that Saturday, the day before the competition, till the week after that. So they got me to the other side of the hospital to a mental facility. Yeah. And I was there for a couple of days because they want to see if my consciousness would come back and if I would be able to speak in a normal way again and react in a normal way again. So after a couple of days, they knew that I would regain my ability to speak, think, and react in a normal way.
How long did that process take?
In the hospital, you mean? Or
no, after when you got
total?
home. When you got home, how long did it take you to get back to normal, as they say?
Months.
Months.
Yeah, because I still had the seizures, the epileptic seizures, and the seizures where I just had blackouts. So I wasn't allowed to be alone for the first period that I was out of the hospital. And that took about a couple of months.
Wow. Well.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's a lot of interesting things. You've gone through a lot of pain, but you overcame every obstacle, correct?
Hell yeah. Definitely.
Two more positive things. 2020, you are qualified for 2021 Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
What's the plan now? Will we see you next year compete? I hope you say no.
Definitely.
No. Are you sure about that? I meant before the Olympia. Aren't you going to take?
Oh, before the Olympia?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Definitely not. No. I'm only going to do Olympia. Why? Because I want to gain more muscle.
Yes, that's what we like to hear. But you don't need so.
I know you do.
You don't need so much more muscle because you weren't the girl with the most muscle on stage, and you won a clear victory. So is it really more muscle? What's the feedback from the judges you got? Have you asked what you need to do to try to be a top contender, or what?
Yeah, of course. I asked several judges, and they were like, "Okay, you won on your conditioning." And on your backside, on your back, your glutes, and your hamstrings. But for the next competition, if you want to place in the top, then you need to have more muscle in your quads.
Okay.
So that's what my off season, my improvement season is going to be all about, making more muscle on my quads.
And that's at least a good that you know what you need to, because the Olympia 2021 is in September?
No, I think it's going to be in November or December.
Again,
yeah.
Where have you seen this? Are you sure about that?
I'm not sure about it because there's not really an definitive answer to it.
Okay.
But
we don't know
my guess
yet.
it's going to be in November or December again.
So you know what you need to work on now, and it's Yeah. And how is your days usually when you go? When will you train? After your job or?
Yeah.
Usually.
In the morning. It depends on the period where I'm in. If I'm in my prep, I have to do my cardio in the morning. But when I'm off season, I just start my day with my work. And when I finish, about 5 or 6 o'clock, I go to the gym. Or first I go home to have my meal. And after that, I go to the gym to train, to give posing classes. I go home, work some more, and then get back to sleep.
Well, at least now in the off season, you're not going to be doing so much cardio, huh? If you need to get your quads, especially with your quads, if they need to come up, I don't think there's going to be so much cardio then, huh?
Right, but also in my prep, we're going to change my cardio a little bit. Not too much on the home trainer, but more on the Stairmaster, the wave, and things like that. But not too much on the home trainer again.
Well, Julia, I see there our time's going out there, but we're happy that you have shared so much of your story for the viewers. It was I love doing interviews where people share personal stories, because in that way, hopefully other people that are going through the same thing went through, can learn more from you than just seeing, hey, I eat 10 eggs a day, or, you know what I mean? Like this is more inspiring for the younger people. You're a role model in a way that you went through all these crazy things. And not only you're a professional athlete, but you also have a professional occupation at once. You're an incredible woman and you have an incredible story, and we are going to see more from you. You are coming on. I have an official Muscle Development Olympia show next
awesome.
week. You're coming on, and we also have more news than when your figure content is coming up on the female bodybuilding channel.
Right. I'm really enthusiastic to start that, and it's been my honor to come on this show, because the only thing I want to do is inspire people and let them know, even though you're coping with an eating disorder and with a lot of mental things on your mind, just if I can do it, if I can stop it, anyone can.
I don't want to cry, but I almost want to cry. JB, I'm almost crying but it's true, because this is a true success story, and you're still very young. You have your whole life in front of you. So this is going to get crazy, isn't it? Now you started. Life's just started, correct?
Yeah, this is what life is all about. Making the right choices for yourself and thinking about your own future, and not let it depend on anyone else who wants to drive you crazy or just push you down.
2021 will be the year of Julia Heerenveen. Again. And you can follow her on, what's your Instagram?
Just my first and my last name, Julia_Heerenveen.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Not yet. As a matter of fact, today we were like dry running, and we're going to start the YouTube channel. But it's going to be like not just about the workouts and training, but also about breaking your boundaries and doing stuff that you normally wouldn't do. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to start that in a couple weeks.
We got 20 seconds. It goes out. Can you take us out with a front double by?
If you do it too. If you do it.
Now we got 10 seconds left.
Come on.
we got some guns there. And there we go. We'll see you very soon.
Thank you very much.